The movie begins with the lead character, Adam Clay, collecting a beehive from the basement. As he emerges, he encounters his elderly neighbor, Eloise Parker, who is shocked by the beehive. Eloise questions Clay about his plans for it. Despite being an introvert, Clay politely explains that it's his concern for both himself and the bees. As a good neighbor, Eloise respects his privacy. Clay expresses gratitude, acknowledging her as the only one looking after him lately. Touched by his words, Eloise even invites him for dinner tonight. Later, Clay proceeded to gently relocate the bees. Meanwhile, Eloise received a message claiming technical issues with her computer. Unaware of an impending scam, she engaged with an individual named Boy from customer care. Despite her limited computer knowledge, Eloise complied with Boy's instructions, fearing data loss. He discouraged her from contacting the bank, spinning a tale of potential job loss and family responsibilities. Touched by his story, Eloise disclosed her bank password, containing funds for a program assisting underprivileged children. Within seconds, her bank account was emptied. In the end, the scammers succeeded in their game, causing Eloise significant loss and frustration. It was only after finishing his work that Clay headed to Eloise's house for dinner. Upon arrival, he noticed smoke and a blaring smoke detector. Turning it off, he discovered Eloise's lifeless body with a gunshot wound. Verona, Eloise's daughter and a police officer, found Clay at the scene and arrested him. Expressing regret, Clay clarified that he was invited for dinner. Investigators initially considered suicide, but Verona insisted on interrogating Clay. While inspecting Eloise's belongings, Verona discovered her empty bank account on the laptop. The following day, Clay is proven innocent and is brought back to his house. Verona, still suspicious, Verona then invites Clay to have coffee. While drinking, she shares that her brother, who was in the army, died years ago. Verona also reveals that her mother is an educator and the director of a charity dedicated to helping underprivileged kids enter school. Lastly, she discloses the reason her mother committed suicide, discovering her empty bank account. Verona saw suspicious sites on her mother's laptop and shares this information with Clay, suspecting her mother fell victim to a scam. Moved by Verona's revelations, Clay immediately asks to leave, stating he needs to attend to the bees. He goes straight to the beehive and retrieves a transmitter, activating it to communicate with an agent. She mentions that she thought he had already retired, but Clay ignores her comment. Instead, he makes a request for Verona to trace the whereabouts of the scamming company she told him about. Later that day, Clay heads to the company with 2 gas tanks in his hands. The security stops him, claiming it's private property. He gets blunt, stating he intends to burn the company down. Despite the guards attempting to draw their guns, Clay is too fast, easily taking them down. In the main office, Clay gets the scammers' attention and demands they repeat after him, promising not to take advantage of others. The scammers laugh, thinking he's joking. Realizing they're not taking him seriously, Clay hits one of them with a telephone and proceeds to punch him in the face multiple times. The scammers, now in fear, repeat after what Clay says. He instructs them to escape, warning that he will be burning the place down. Clay proceeds to empty the gas tanks, pouring the fuel over their computers. Boy's real identity, Garnett, arrives at the scene with a couple of guards. He angrily confronts Clay and orders the guards to arrest him. However, Clay proves too skilled, managing to beat them one by one without using a single gunshot. Giving Garnett a chance to escape, Clay mentions the bombs he installed, set to explode once a supposed victim calls. Clay leaves in time before a call connects, and the entire building explodes. Immediately after the incident, Garnett informs his boss Derek Danforth, who becomes furious upon hearing the bad news. Derek goes straight to Wallace Westworld, a high-ranking official in the CIA. He tells Wallace about the burned call center, lying that a friend of his was affected. Derek tries to convince Wallace to work for him and trace the culprit, but Wallace refuses to misuse his power. Later that day, Verona receives a call from her partner Way, who informs her about the incident with relevance to her mother's case. She goes to the crime scene and witnesses the entire building burn down. Meanwhile, seeking revenge, Garnett and some of his men go to Clay's bee farm. They destroy some beehives, bring down a cabinet full of honey, and equipped with guns, arrogantly call for Clay. As they search for him, they see his silhouette and shoot at it. Unaware, Clay sneaks behind one of them and surrounds his neck with chains. One by one, he kills Garnett's men, leaving Garnett alone. Seeing his men falling down, Garnett shrinks in fear and bumps into Clay while walking backward, begging for his life. Clay holds his hand and pushes it towards a machine that cuts through steel, detaching all of Garnett's fingers from his right hand. Garnett screams in pain as Clay leaves him. Meanwhile, Verona confronts an employee in the scamming company, heated with anger. Wei steps in, reminding her of the civil rights of the man, prompting her to stop. After a while, Garnett drives away, struggling to call his boss due to his severed fingers. He apologizes and informs Derek that they failed to kill Clay. Derek questions him about Clay's identity, but all Garnett knows is that he is a beekeeper. While reporting, Clay appears and punches Garnett in the face. Garnett offers money or crypto, but Clay, seeking justice, doesn't want his money but his life. He ties Garnett up using a long seat belt attached to his car, starts the car, and Garnett gets pulled with it towards the lake. Clay picks up Garnett's phone and threatens Derek that he will burn him down, just as he did to his company. He hangs up, leaving Derek worried that Clay is not an ordinary man. Concerned, Derek goes to Westworld, lying about his business and claiming it's a data mining company. Westworld observes all that Clay has done and quickly concludes that Derek has messed with the wrong person. He tells Derek that, throughout years of serving in the CIA, he is certain that disturbing the beekeeper makes him a drowning man. Westworld clarifies that he is only helping Derek because of a past favor from Derek's mother, aiming to protect her reputation. Westworld admits that he's putting up with Derek's crimes for that reason. In an attempt to retaliate, Derek accuses Westworld of being scared, making excuses. Surprisingly, Westworld admits that he is scared and asserts that Derek should be terrified as well. At the police department, Verona and Wei discuss cases related to call center frauds. Verona is eager to conduct a follow-up investigation to dismantle the main headquarters. While she passionately discusses the case, her partner Wei pays little attention. They attempt to gather information about Clay but find none, except for his birth certificate. Suddenly, Wei receives a call informing him that they have found Garnett's body. Meanwhile, news about Clay reaches Jessica Danforth, Derek's mother and the former CEO of Danforth Enterprise. Jessica contacts Westworld, who is in debt to her, and instructs him to protect her son. Left with no choice, Westworld accepts her request and takes action. He immediately contacts Janet, a high-ranking official in the CIA, informing her about the situation and requesting her aid to take down the beekeeper. On the other hand, Verona and Wei arrive at the crime scene to examine Garnett's corpse. While observing his body, they notice that his right hand has all of its fingers cut off. After a while, Westworld contacts Janet again. Confused, Janet asks why Clay, a former special ops known as the Beekeeper, has become a problem. She reassures Westworld, instructing him to calm down and rest assured, as she has already contacted the current Beekeeper to handle him. Still anxious and terrified, Westworld expresses concern, telling her that the present Beekeepers are far from what the original Beekeepers used to be. While Clay is refueling his car, a vehicle crashes behind him. A woman armed with an M4A1 mercilessly shoots at his car, only to find it empty when she checks inside. Searching the gas station, she mistakenly points at the wrong person. Then, spotting a police car approaching, she rains bullets on the police vehicle, unintentionally killing the officer. Seizing the opportunity, Clay attacks her with a gas pump nozzle. Despite her attempt to fight back with a knife, Clay proves too skilled. When he retrieves her reserved pistol, Clay vanishes from her sight. Frustrated, she rides at the back of her truck and unleashes a Gatling gun, firing aimlessly. Calmly, Clay returns to his car, grabbing a jar of honey. He hurls it at her face, knocking her out. Astonishingly, it only takes a jar of honey to incapacitate her. Clay lights up a lighter and throws it at the woman, who screams in agony as she attempts to crawl and extinguish the fire. Clay approaches her burning corpse and cuts off her finger. Subsequently, Westworld receives a call from Janet, who informs him that the problem is not yet solved. Westworld dismissively states that it's obvious. However, one of the agents supporting them with intel, Vicky Will, is now neutral. Janet informs him that he is on his own from now on. Furious and pressured, Westworld grapples with the news. The next day, Verona and Wei investigate another crime scene orchestrated by Clay. They find a Gatling gun used by the beekeeper woman in a book about bees. Meanwhile, Westworld resorts to another strategy to take down Clay. He holds a meeting with former SEAL team and Army Rangers, informing them about the secret program, Beekeepers, a mechanism out of the system with the sole mission to keep the nation safe. Beekeepers are given all the resources and power they need to act on their own judgment. Operating in secrecy with confidential identities, Westworld flashes Clay's information on the screen. Lastly, Westworld briefs them that beekeepers try not to stand out, so they should expect surprise attacks. One of them remarks that Clay is just like them. However, Westworld strongly disagrees, stating that they are nowhere near the beekeepers. He suggests that if they fight Clay as a group, they might stand a chance. At the police department, Verona reads a book about bees, which mentions certain bees called queen bee slayers that kill their queen if they perceive her offspring as incompetent. While discussing bees, they receive a call informing them that Deputy Director Craig would like to talk to them. Meanwhile, Clay goes to their old headquarters and uses the finger he cut to gain access. Returning, Verona and Way finally meet with Craig. During the meeting, Verona briefs them about Clay, and Craig goes straight to the point, stating that Clay's next target will be 9-Star United, another call center with the same function as before. Eventually, Craig approves Verona's request for a SWAT team, surveillance, and analysts. The director of the next fraud call center is Rico Angeloni, another arrogant scammer. Information about 9-Star United circulates in the FBI, with a mission to raid the building and arrest Clay. However, their efforts are thwarted by a group of mercenaries Westworld hired. The mercenaries enter, attempting to shut down the scammers and locate Clay. Rico talks to their leader, bringing the mercenary leader to the office. Outside, Clay tries to inform the Ether about another entrance at the back, willing to cooperate with them. However, the leader, assuming Clay is just a civilian, orders his subordinates to detain him. Clay breaks his hand suddenly, and when the FBI surrounds him in heavy armor, he takes them all down simultaneously, even taking one as a hostage to cease the fire inside. In the office, Rico knocks the leader and contacts Derek. When Derek answers, he reprimands the man and reminds him that Westworld is his subordinate. As they prepare to leave and set a perimeter outside, Clay appears in the midst of the scammers, causing a ruckus. The mercenaries spot him and attempt to kill him by raining bullets. Clay escapes, attacking some from above, ambushing them and killing 3 by manipulating the aim of their leader. A showdown unfolds between Clay and the remaining mercenary leader, culminating in Clay finishing him off with a fire extinguisher. Verona and the SWAT team arrive as Clay sets up a trap for the last wave of mercenaries. They attempt to shoot him down, but he baits them into the elevator and finishes them all with a trap. Afterward, he goes straight to Rico and interrogates him, using a stapler to squeeze information out of him through torture. Eventually, Rico confesses and shows Clay a picture of Derek, claiming that he is untouchable. Clay realizes that Derek is the son of a very powerful and influential person. However, beekeepers are trained to act autonomously, so Clay remains undeterred. He asserts that there is no such person as untouchable. Like a queen slayer, he states that he will eliminate the queen if its offspring is proven to be defective. Verona eventually arrives, prompting Clay to escape immediately. Separated from the team, Way gets his ass kicked when Clay ambushes him. Begging for his life and mentioning his 4 kids, Way convinces Clay to spare him. Clay disarms his gun and leaves. While investigating the place, Verona and Way are shocked to find a laptop with Derek's image on it at an expensive hotel. Westworld receives another call, learning that all of his mercenaries are dead. He excuses himself and tells Derek that it's time to ask Jessica for help. A shocking turn of events unfolds when Jessica answers her son's call and is revealed to be the President of the United States of America. Meanwhile, Verona and Way report back to PRI, informing him about seeing Derek Danford. Verona adds that Jessica Danforth's reputation is tarnished when they discover that campaign funds came from his son's company. PRI gets stressed out with the report and instructs them not to disclose the classified information to anyone. Verona adds that he believes Clay's next target is the president. The following day, the 2 partners proceed to the Danforth estate, where private police equipped with heavy weapons are patrolling. Inside a room, Derek, Westfield, and Lazarus, hired for protection, are present. Lazarus got hired because he managed to kill a beekeeper before. Despite Derek's arrogance, Lazarus dismisses it, showing his steel right leg and attributing Derek's success to luck. Shortly after, the president arrives at the estate. Simultaneously, Clay takes action, emerging from the sewers. He cleverly times his exit from a manhole, hiding beneath a vehicle to sneak inside. Security intensifies, checking every part of the vehicles entering the estate. When an agent checks below a vehicle, Clay manages to silence him. At the party, Verona and Way observe PRI talking with the president. Alarmed by the situation, PRI brings Derek and PR into a room. PR begins asking multiple questions about Derek's connection to groups associated with the scam. While they are in interrogation, Verona spots Clay and reports to security. However, she follows the wrong person. Eventually, Lazarus and Verona manage to catch him. Little did they know, Clay has a plan in his mind. He gets on his knees, placing his hand on his head. When Verona is about to arrest him, Lazarus points a gun at Clay, attempting to execute him. Westworld signals to execute Clay, but when he sees what Lazarus is about to do, he tries to intervene. However, he cannot be stopped. Just as Lazarus is about to execute Clay, he detonates the bomb setup, stealing the pistol from Lazarus's offhand and shooting him in the mouth. Clay takes down the others and escapes. Verona and Way are shocked, realizing they failed to apprehend him. Despite a bullet in his mouth, Lazarus is still alive. Inside the estate room, it is revealed that Jessica has no idea about the call center scams her son is running. Derek tries to reason his way out, but his mother is very disappointed with him. Derek continues to confess that he did what he did because of his mother, even with PRI present. Derek tries to convince his mom to get on his side but fails. Jessica then makes a significant statement, declaring that she will tell the truth, even if it costs everything she has worked hard for. Meanwhile, like a madman, untouchable and ferocious, Clay takes down multiple enemies, becoming a killing machine. He effortlessly advances, going upstairs through guards without breaking a sweat. Upon reaching the room upstairs, Lazarus ambushes him, attempting to overpower him with strength. The two exchange blows, and Clay manages to stab Lazarus in the face. However, Lazarus, like a zombie, withstands the attack. During the fight, Lazarus stabs Clay in the abdomen, pushing the knife out. Somehow, Lazarus turns the situation to his advantage, stabbing Clay multiple times and stealing his brass knuckles. Despite suffering multiple stabs and punches, Lazarus finally dies. Verona and Way witness the intense battle upstairs, describing it as if a tornado passes by. Westworld tries to convince Clay to change his mind. Inside the room, Derek panics and accidentally shoots PRI. Clay bursts in, joined by Verona and Way witnessing Derek about to harm his mother. Clay shoots him in the head, saving the president. Quickly jumping out the window to escape, Jessica sees her lifeless son and grieves in pain. In the end, Verona tails Clay as he escapes and stops him by yelling his name. Instead of arresting him, she expresses gratitude, slowly putting down her gun as a sign of respect. She stares at him as he jumps from the balcony and bids him farewell. Clay goes to the seashore, retrieves his scuba diving suit, and dives into the sea before the police can apprehend him. With this movie concludes. I hope you have liked this movie recap. Please like, share and subscribe for more real